Welcome to the One Gang Worldwide podcast, your ultimate ride into the world of motorcycles. Visit cyclesworldwide.com where we offer a completely free marketplace for everything motorcycles. Join our One Gang community where you can connect, share info, and swap stories with riders from all over the world. Join for free at cyclesworldwide.com and be a part of the One Gang community right now. On today's episode of the One Gang Worldwide podcast, we're joined by Brent Massey, the visionary behind Ridar Systems. Ridar Systems is at the forefront of developing technology that aims to protect two-wheelers by making them more detectable to other road users. In today's episode, Brent will talk about the inspiration behind Ridar Systems, how the technology works, and the impact it has on improving road safety for motorcycle enthusiasts. So settle in and get ready to learn how advances in technology are keeping riders safe with Brent Massey, right here on the One Gang podcast.
But what's cool about Ridar Systems is you can still ride that way if you want to, but you can still be announcing your location to a nearby driver. You can have a level of safety without everybody knowing it, right? You're still cool. You still got that vibe going with a Harley, and that's great, you know. But you can still be sending your location, direction, travel, and speed.
One Gang Worldwide podcast, brought to you by Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping. Since 1978, Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping has been the trusted name in transporting motorcycles safely across the country. With custom-designed pallets and air ride trailers, your bike is secure and protected every step of the way. By choosing Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping, you're supporting a dedicated small business that prioritizes quality and customer satisfaction. Ship with a peace of mind, knowing your motorcycle is in expert hands. Visit keyboardmotorcycleshipping.com for more information. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
All right, One Gang Nation. Today we've got Brent Massey of Ridar Systems with some seriously cool tech coming out to keep us alive on the road. Welcome to the show, Brent. We're super happy and excited to have you here today.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. I'm honored to be on the One Gang Motorcycle Worldwide podcast. This is really exciting.
All right, that's cool. Cool. Thanks, Brent, for joining us, man. I think you guys are going to get a real good kick out of this one. We're getting into the technical side of safety for riders, both bikers and cyclists. So this is going to be a fun show and a very educational one for the future of our sport. So why don't we just start it off simple and easy, man? Take us a little bit where you grew up and basically how your early environment shaped your interest and career path moving forward.
Yeah, I spent a lot of my life in Western Massachusetts, and being in Western Mass, there's a lot of trails and a lot of woods and plenty of riding. So yeah, I started riding. I think it was 12 when I got my Bridgestone 60. It was nice. It was kind of
that was your first bike?
Yeah, it was my first bike. My stepdad bought it for us.
That's cool.
We just beat the snouts out of it. It was more of a road bike. So we just took it on the trails. Chain guts black. Oh, okay. We just put more bolts back. I mean, it was a first good experience of learning how to shift and everything. But
nice.
Yeah, that was the first bike. And then I moved on up. Well, I don't know if it was a move up or not. 14 and about my own motorcycle. It was you ready for this one? The Java CZ 175 trail. Like, right.
The Java, huh?
Oh, man. It was a beast when it ran. Nothing could stop it. But it weighed about 350 pounds dry. It was just it was a big Eastern European bike, but we had a lot of fun while it ran, But it was a blast. I mean, again, all my buddies were riding the Elsinores and all the Kawasaki's, all the Japanese bikes. I was the only one with a European bike like that. So,
nice.
But
did you have any siblings growing up, or were you?
Yeah, two brother.
So that's
cool. Me and my next oldest brother. I was the oldest of the clan, and we took turns riding this thing all around, and we just between that, the Bridgestone 60, the Java 1.5, we had a blast. And then eventually we had to relocate to Central Mass near Palmer. This was my first episode. It was a blast. I mean, it was
that's cool.
It was a 175, it was a 250 actually. I moved on up. But
nice.
It was a KDX 2-stroker, And again, we back at that point, that's when I started driving as well. So we were able to go, trails nearby, but also as I grew a little older, start trailering and bringing.
Did you ride just to ride and have fun with your brothers and friends, or did you take it into competition?
Just for fun. It was all
just for fun.
But yeah, we just had so much fun with it. I mean, all of us, I think we all went to the same dealership for almost the same week. 3 or 4 of us bought Kawasaki. A lot of green on the trails at that time, but
I love Kawais. That's my favorite Japanese make anyway. So.
And it's funny, the last dirt bike I had, that was about 20 years ago. And that was a KDX 225. And that thing was
awesome. That's a great bike.
Yeah.
That is a great bike. For sure.
It was all tuned out, suspension. It was just a fabulous ride. But
cool.
Because I was starting a business, a different business at the time, the trees were coming a little faster on those trails. And it might be a good idea to be a little more responsible with my startup and my investors and take a little bit away from the riding off the road. But that was replaced back in 2011 with a BMW R1200 GS. I wanted to kind of stick to my off-road roots, but I, of course, learned very quickly that GS is, while it can go through a lot, my riding skills with that big bike was just, I always had to ride with somebody else because I needed help with the thing out.
Gotcha.
All right. So Brent, what about your education? What did you enjoy in school, and what kind of subjects were the hit in your head and contributed to your entrepreneurial spirit?
It's funny. I don't think there was any particular subject. I hated all subjects when I was going to school. I mean, high school, graduating, as I was growing up, I was always inventing things. I drew out, sketched out at 8 years old, a snowmobile with one ski in the front and one track back. And
yes,
I've always been inventing things. And I think as I grew older, appreciated a little bit more the math, the sciences, and the English, all of those that are all required to a solid startup. But yeah, when I went back to school later in my years, I got into more of the sciences, and from there I essentially was in working in healthcare and information systems industry. Did that 10 years, and it was during my time riding my BMW from 2011 forward. First time riding on the road, actually, I quickly realized drivers just weren't seeing me at all, so I'm wearing the lime green, reflectors everywhere, as many lights as I can, my high beams on, everything I could do. But you're just a much smaller footprint, and they don't see you. And if they're not seeing a 6.5 to 8 foot wide vehicle, they don't pick you up as readily.
So you were saying, like, some of your first jobs and ventures, you got into the medical field. Is that what you were?
It was medical software, actually.
Medical software. Okay.
So
your background's development.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So, what were some of your first jobs and ventures that you before you got into Ridar? What were you doing prior?
Oh gosh, I did a 10-year stint at the U.S. Postal Service. That's where I was riding a lot of dirt bikes. My buddy and I, we were taking trips here and there, but oh my God, it was a fun time because it was easy to call, easy to take time off. As a matter of fact, I got a great story for you. So Gary and I were up riding in this, it was an awesome ride. This is when I had the KDX 225, and we were riding. It was a beautiful day. We both worked second shift in the same building. And, we actually said, hey, let's call out. Let's take the rest of the day, man. This is just too nice to give up. So we both drove up to a payphone. On the same dime, I called out to the operator, and I said, okay, hold on just a minute. I'm going to let you talk to someone else. Gary called out on the same day. It was funny. So, I mean, we felt this very service.
You guys called out on the same dime?
We did it.
That's awesome.
It was an awesome day. But yeah, after that, I went back to school. I was working in the Meditech field, which was the healthcare information systems, for about 10 years. And it was during that time, I had been riding my BMW on the road quite a bit and just thinking, it's got to be a way to be more visible to these guys, and it was around that
Right.
time that, connected cars started coming on the scene, cars talking to each other and all that great stuff. But I was just, I just had to think about something. There had to be some way to connect us into that connected car industry.
Yep. Understandable.
So so you got this lidar system or Ridar Systems, it's operational for both motorcycles and bicycles, cycles. Have you had a lot of experience on the road in both mediums? Did you ride just a regular bicycle a lot as a kid?
As a kid,
Or
no,
do you
not
still?
too much now with my neck injury. I can't ride much of anything anymore. But, when I was a kid, yes, my 10 speed was before I got my license, it took me everywhere. I had to go
Absolutely.
17 and a half miles away. I go twice
Absolutely.
on weekends, so yeah, the bicycles, it was important part of my life growing up. But as I got older, married, we have kids, it was more about sticking to the rail trails just because it was safer. I mean, I think that's a reason a lot of cyclists are just stopping cycling. We're riding motorcycles for that matter. It's very dangerous on the road. Drivers just don't see you. So whenever I did ride with my family, it was usually on rail trails.
Brent, you kind of
Mhm.
you've touched on it a couple of times as we've been talking regarding like the safety part of the issues. Can you share a specific moment or experience that made you realize, the safety challenges faced by both bikers and cyclists that made you kind of, really think about this in a hard
Yeah.
way?
One particular ride, I was heading down to a rally with my buddies from the Yankee Beamers here in Massachusetts. And we all ride adventure. We're all semi off-road, dirt road, long cruises. I mean, but then we camp all weekend. So they have a lot of events. But it was heading to one of those events by myself early morning, and a car coming out of the left of side street didn't even. I mean, she looked at me, looked the other way, looked at me again, and here I am again with all my lights. I mean, you could probably see me
Right.
from space, for God's sake.
From
Right.
space.
Lime green, and I was like, I'm going to be safe. They're going to see me. She looked right at me. She pulled right out in front of me, and it was from
Man.
that point on
Wow.
that I was like, that plus
Did you hit?
no,
Did you guys hit? Oh, thank God.
never
Right.
went down. And I've lost a couple of friends since that point. One friend was severely injured. Again, just a car blown you to the middle of the road. They won't see you. They
Wow.
don't have any awareness that you're nearby. If they don't see a car with two headlights side by side, they don't see anything else.
Yeah.
So it was around that time that I started thinking, how can we do this? How can we make this an easy hurdle for riders to get over? To achieve a level of mass saturation and something easy
That's
for
cool.
anybody to use. And we settled on the smartphone because almost everybody has a smartphone, using it in some capacity, whether
Sure.
they use it for navigation, if they're on a bicycle, using it, tying into Strava, Map My Ride, Ride with GPS, and
Right.
any of the motorcycle apps for that matter. You could easily tie this into it. But essentially, we started out, we developed, I have to say, we were probably way ahead of our time because there were other technologies, other competing technologies that everybody was focusing on, especially in the auto industry. They were focusing on DSRC, which is a dedicated short range communications, kind of like a Wi-Fi on steroids. Then they went to V2X, and V2X, Ford was going to have it on all of their vehicle.
What is that? Can you explain what that is?
V2X is a cellular vehicle to everything. And what that meant was that at that point, they were using technology that essentially allowed cars to have hardware built into them, and roadside units were going to be needed. A lot of roadside units, RSUs, and I think they got to the point where, I mean, even Ford was going to start putting these in every new car in 2022, I think it was, or somewhere. It fizzled out. I think everybody realized, there was so much roadside infrastructure that needed to be added, who's going to pay for that? You know,
Right.
so
Right.
it kind of fizzled out. So now they're looking back to cellular. Like, well, cellular can do a lot of things, especially we now got 5G coming up, edge computing, cloud computing, a lot of things that now make a smartphone viable. And we kind of had to wait for those other technologies to come and go before we were taken seriously. And so, essentially what we do is we're using cellular technology and GPS. We actually look at the driver and the two-wheeler. We capture their location, the direction of travel, their speed, and we match them up in our cloud-based algorithm. And when that algorithm says, "Hey, driver, this motorcycle or bicycle is approaching from your right, from the left," in the case of road splitting, from the rear, we're still in that MVP stage right now. But essentially, what it does is once it notices that driver is on track for a potential interaction with a two-wheeler, we push a notification to the driver saying that there is a bicycle ahead, bicycle, etc., or motorcycle, depending on how the end user, the two-wheeler, registers it. So you have the option to choose motorcycle or bicycle so that we know how to announce you to the driver. So and on the rider side of the equation, there's no distraction. We don't want to announce that there's a car approaching you because everybody using, especially in the motorcycle world, you're already using rider radar. That's where we got our name, Ridar. So, we're taught that at the MSF level, Motorcycle Safety Foundation. And I said, why don't we have the same thing for drivers? Why can't we provide something for them that basically announces, those two-wheelers, the most vulnerable road users to them? So that's what we do. So, so it's using hardware built into a car, new connectivity. You can drive a 65 Mustang and use your smartphone if you wanted to receive its notifications. So we tried to make it, again, as easy as possible to integrate with any other hardware that's on a bicycle, a motorcycle. We have the cellular connection and GPS is available. We can track that location and we can share that to the cloud so that we can announce properly to the driver that you're approaching their position.
That's really cool. I'm curious, I was driving my son around town the other day and he asked, "Dad, how does it know when there's traffic? Like, what's that red part and yellow part?" And explaining to him the technology and just seeing this 10-year-old's brain blow up was really cool. But even, the traffic functionality is really, really neat. And I'm curious, when you guys were initially conceptualizing all of this, what time frame was that, and how long did you have to wait for the technology to catch up to your idea?
It has been a long road pushing this boulder uphill. I started this very originally back in 2014. But then we regrouped in 2015. So it's been 10 years actually. We've been working on this, fine tuning it, but now we're actually working with an OEM partner, automotive OEM partner, a manufacturer. And we're in the process of testing it with them. We're wrapping up a proof of concept test that basically ensures that here's all the scenarios that we can think of. We've got one final scenario that we're working on. I'll actually be testing that later on today. And, essentially we want to be able to break out, we want to try to make sure we're not over notifying driving. So, if 5 bicycles or 20 motorcycle, we don't want to give them 28.
You have a group right by warning.
Right,
so what we're going to do is what we're working on now is fine tuning the technology so that it recognizes, okay, I've got a single cyclist a few hundred feet ahead, giving you a 3 to 5 second heads up for the driver. If the group that's nearby that single cyclist, a peloton of cyclists, for example, if there's a short ways ahead, we're going to combine that notification, just say cyclist, motorcycle ahead to the right.
Nice.
So what we're doing, that's
Cool.
the sweet spot that we're kind of developing right now is what is that distance? Where do we separate a single versus a group of riders? One notification that'll be key for that driver to, again, we're providing awareness to the driver. Driver has the
Absolutely.
ability to stop or avoid, more so than the two-wheeler. So that's why we put the onus on the driver. On the two-wheeler side of the equation, because we're not pushing notifications to them, after their ride, they can see the usual tech, stats. What was your average speed, what's your average distance, elevation perhaps, but more importantly, how many times you've been detected by a driver with Ridar Systems running. So that's what you get on the two-wheel side of the equation. So as we start ramping up with more and more drivers, that level of saturation will start proving itself out, and people will start realizing, wow, it is working. At least one person avoided me. But then as we grow and start incorporating it into, say, insurance offerings for automobiles, expect to see more people. And I think that was probably one of your next questions. How the hell are you going to get drivers if they don't care about two-wheelers,
Right.
So,
Right.
Hey, Brent, I wanted to ask you kind of circling back to the 10-year mark, right? I wanted to find out what were some of your biggest challenges you faced in developing Ridar Systems, the technology itself. What were the things that you had to go through in order, because you said you started it in 2014 and then you tweaked it and got different players in or additional players in 2015. So what were some of your challenges that you had to physically and mentally go through to kind of know that, one, you were onto something special, and two is you had to create something that was different than what's out there? Can you take us a little bit into that?
Sure. So, as a rider, when I was still riding, I was looking around for anything technology that would allow you to be more visible. I think the biggest challenge for us, it wasn't so much the technology. We quickly got that patented in both the United States, Canada, and some European countries. But the biggest hurdle was getting someone to listen to you, because there was the platforms, such as the DSRC, the CVUX, that everybody thought was going to be the future of safer driving and riding. It really hasn't vetted out to be quite that path that most of the OEMs are going. One of our competitors actually uses hardware that you have to buy on top of the bike that you're using. So for about $300, you can buy the hardware that will talk to a car if it has the hardware included in that car. So again, we're purely software driven. So, it was frustrating to see everybody trying to do what we had, we've been working on. We were kind of ignored in the industry. But it was only after they exhausted their DSRC, CV2X options that they started looking more at cellular. And, the OEM partner we have now is one of the leaders in the connected car or connected cockpit.
Awesome.
That was the biggest hurdle, is really getting somebody to listen to you. But it took a lot of larger players to exhaust the DSRC and the CV2X. The 802.11G was the actual radio frequency they were using. Yes.
How many people in your organization now?
Right now we have, I'm the founder. We have Mary Micknow has assumed the role of CEO. She comes with, almost 3 decades of connected car.
Nice.
And, one good friend, I will mention all the names because some of them are still just working as consultants, but, we will have about 6 people plus a board of directors.
Excellent.
So we're ramping up. We're getting the right people on board. Just brought a player on our board of directors. Good friend of Barry's actually, and he's been in the same connected space. So we need that kind of know-how to get our foot in the door, if you will.
Understand. Thank you.
Definitely.
Sure.
So you were right on the money with our next question. I was curious about driver adoption. Different insurance companies like State Farm has their Drive Safe and Safe program where they actually have a dongle that goes into the vehicle and monitors things like aggressive braking or accelerating, so on and so forth. So are you guys considering, running a campaign, just tracking those guys down, or what's your approach to that?
You hit it right on the head, Ben. we 2 years ago, we tested with one large insurer, unnamed, and we actually tested with their data division about what kind of data can we collect just using a smartphone, no dongles, smartphone driven purely. We worked with them. They opened up their customer user data for the area where they're testing, provide a pipeline of data to us. We took that data, we captured the data from our cyclists, and what we were able to develop is, we're calling it the interaction data. So anybody can collect data from a driver, anybody can collect data from cyclists, two-wheelers, but there's not anybody that can collect the interaction data that comes between them. And what we were able to show this insurer is that not only can we show how long drivers perhaps sits behind a group of cyclists or a cyclist, maybe that would be a good reason for that urban location to expand bike lanes, for example. But what we also were able to show was how close they passed the cyclist. Most states have a safe passing law for bicycles, and what was your speed when you were penning. So these are all key elements, and there's others that we're working on that I can't divulge right now. But there's other data elements that are unavailable right now, but Ridar Systems can provide these to the insurers, and those insurers, if you get a driver to sign on board and hey, you get a discount, that's a lot of incentive for a driver. Most drivers, there's not much of other incentive unless you're a rider as well. So,
right.
But that's the big incentive that that's the carrot we're hoping that the insurers will dangle, in front of those subscribers, and just get an insurance discount. We collect your data, we show how close you pass, and you get a UBI, a usage-based insurance. They can score you, and your rates may go up, they may go down, based on how you potentially drive near riders.
So how does the algorithms in your technology anticipate like potential interactions between two wheels and, let's say, larger vehicles? How does it, differentiate, and how does it help to understand it?
Sure. Well, if I'm going purely mobile, on the mobile app, you'll be able to select that I'm a driver. I'm driving, I'm going to receive the notifications. So from that point on, you start sharing your location, your trajectory, and your speed. The same thing on the cycling side. On the two-wheeler side, you're going to choose either bicycle, motorcycle, or perhaps even e-scooter, just to let the driver know what they're going to be looking for. But we're going to capture that same information from the two-wheel expert.
Nice.
So once those two, our algorithm again captures those elements, we are able to push a notification way before the driver actually sees a two-wheeler that they are approaching, and we send that out about 3 to 5 seconds before there's an interaction. So the algorithm essentially creates a real-time notification for the driver.
So speaking of notifications, how do the notifications work? I'm sure there's an audible notification. What about integration into existing smart cars or Apple Play, Android Auto, that sort of thing? What's your end goal here for how that behaves?
Our end goal right now is to eventually get Ridar Systems embedded into smart cars, connected vehicles. The OEM partner that we're working with, essentially this week, likely go to the new cars that are being produced, but it can be pushed over the air to existing vehicles from, say, 5 years ago. So, there's a lot of cars out there that, because it's purely software, we don't have to wait to utilize perhaps the same timeline of manufacturing that an OEM faces. Once we validate the technology, it's ready for production. It could essentially be pushed out to many vehicles, and not just this OEM partner, but other OEM partners too. But we essentially push a verbal and a visual notification for this OEM partner. Currently, they're pushing on the screen of the head unit when the notification comes up that there's a bicycle ahead, motorcycle to the right. They acknowledge, or they push a button, don't see. We in the future these we'd rather have strictly a verbal notification, because we don't want to distract the driver to push buttons that they see it or don't see it. So we would simply rather just
Right.
have a verbal notification come over the Bluetooth speakers. If you're using Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it'll be the same user interface that you would see similar to what an OEM has. But that is our end.
That's cool.
Getting
Gotcha.
into the connected technologies out there, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but also into the OEM's tech stack.
Hey guys, the show will be back in 1 minute right after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, One Gang, tired of feeling like your butt's taking more of a beating than your bike on those long rides? Introducing Butt Buffer, the ultimate solution to saddle soreness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These cushions are made from medical grade viscoelastic polymer, scientifically crafted to eliminate pressure points and keep your circulation flowing. No more numb nuts or numb butts. And here's the best part. Butt Buffer cushions are made right here in the US for the last 30 years. From Harleys to Hondas, we've got a cushion to fit your ride perfectly. Plus, with styles ranging from sleek pebble polymer to luxurious sheepskin, there's a butt buffer for every rider's style. Get your butt buffer today at buttbuffer.com. That's buttbuffer.com. Your butt will thank you, and you'll ride longer and happier. We've got your butt covered.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So your feed,
sorry, go ahead, Ben.
your feedback comment made me think of how this is being received. How has this been received? What kind of feedback are you getting as far as the community goes in cycling and motorcycling?
Cycling, motorcycling, they're like, when is this going to be available? It's literally their asses on the line, right? They're the ones that are going to benefit from this level of safety.
For sure.
But drivers,
Big time.
I think the biggest concern early on was location. We're capturing their location technology. A lot of people
Right.
don't want to hear the location, but the argument for that would be,
Right.
You're using a smartphone, and you already have location technology on. So why not use it for something that's going to
Right.
benefit, all road users? So that's our
Right.
our angle on the location. But for the drivers, again, I think it's going to be through insurers that, or strictly as an OEM offering a feature that you can download and say,
Mhm.
yes, I'm going to start using this. So that's where we are.
Mhm.
So it's a download then. It's not automatically in the CarPlays and the stuff. So like what I'm asking is it's an app that everybody needs to download in order for it to work with everything else. It's not kind of incorporated already into CarPlay.
Correct. Now it's
Okay.
strictly app driven. We hope that the OEM and future OEMs will simply make this available to their drivers, existing and new cars,
Man, that would be awesome.
and simply push it out there. And if then again, if there's reluctance to download it just because it's a near feature, maybe the insurance element would allow that driver to say reconsider, because, oh, wait a minute, there's money in it for me. There's money always provides a financial incentive, a good incentive. If you could save money,
better
that's
believe
great.
it.
That's what we want to do.
Of course.
So with that going forward, where do you see Ridar Systems in the next 5 years, and what technologies are you excited about that you guys are working on or looking to implement in the future?
Well, we really are, and for the next 5 years, it's about integrating with existing technologies. Rider, currently it's a standalone on a smartphone, which is great for someone that doesn't have, say, a cyclist doesn't have Strava, Map My Ride, right? Which they can still download and run Riders. And the same thing with motorcycle. If it's not integrated with, say, a Honda or Harley Davidson or a BMW into their mobile app offering, which is very easy for us to do, they can still use it, the very basic element, the basic version, which will eventually go away once we achieve a level of saturation through either the OEM offerings or the insurance offerings, and through the other third-party apps, such as Strava, Map My Ride, Ride with GPS, and for any of the motorcycle apps. So that's where we see this being available for everybody. As it is on a smartphone right now, you'd have to download it, and in a vehicle, it's simply accepting. The OEM pushes this out to their customer. They can accept it, they can turn it down, but we hope back in later and add it, especially if they have a close call, and say, hey, maybe that Ridar Systems would have worked here.
You know, and
Mhm.
you know what? My concern as a motorcyclist is the fact that one, like it would be amazing if they started to just automatically, like you were saying earlier, either integrate it into everything or definitely show some form of a financial savings where it's almost you'd be stupid not to download it, because I feel that as much as the cyclists and motorcyclists would love to see that everywhere, and everybody must have it as they're driving, because now we have more people on the road, more cars on the road. Cars are faster. You know, there's things that, like, especially these electric cars, they don't really detect motorcycles like or a cyclist
You're right.
like they're supposed to. So that definitely is a scary thing for somebody who's on two wheels, no matter what they're
It is.
doing. So I'm thinking, like, you know, unless the insurance companies push that, or unless this updated stuff that's coming out with the newer vehicles and these manufacturers jump on board for safety reasons, insurance companies almost have to kind of force this stuff down these people's throat, because nobody really gives a about us. And that's the
It is.
reality. I mean,
It is.
unless you're a rider, is really when you pay attention and you see a motorcyclist, or if you're a cyclist, you'll see a cyclist. So you do what you would want to be done. That's your natural reaction, because this is what you do as a hobby. But for everybody else, it's like, if there's no force on it, man, it sucks, because, like, I don't see their incentive to download it, you know, unless something is in return, like you said, especially on the financial
Yeah,
side.
and we see that as the initial way to get drivers on board. We do hope that at some point the federal government maybe mandates it like a seatbelt in every car. You know, when you're on the road, if you're texting behind the wheel, you are a 2-ton missile just waiting to take out many motorcyclists.
Exactly.
And you can only do so much as a cyclist or a motorcyclist to avoid getting hit. I mean, high schools have something from Garmin called Varia. It's a radar that tells the cyclist when a car's approaching. That's great, but what happens when the car is about to hit you? Who's telling the car that you're there? And for me, if I was a cyclist using Varia, it's good to know there's a car coming, but then you're basically pucker and wait to get maybe not hit. There's worries, and really with the new car offerings now, they almost virtually all automotive manufacturers now offer ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance System. These include lane departure, backup camera, backup warning, automatic emergency braking, all of these great things that help make the driver safer, but they all rely on clear line of sight. Ridar Systems does not. It can see through trees, through buildings, around corners, over hills. It gives the driver that heads up. So we envision Ridar Systems moving from an awareness notification to a real-time safety notification, where it can essentially pre-alert some of those ADAS systems. So if the cameras if they don't see the cyclist, but we do pre-alert them, we can shave milliseconds off the time that the car can react. So that's what our OEM partner is excited about as well.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. Thank God.
That it makes me think. First, to mention the texting and driving thing, my brother-in-law's dad is a trucker, and he's like, you don't want to hear about it. It's well over half of the cars while he's on the interstate, they've got their phone out, literally 2 feet from their head as they're looking back and forth from the road to their texts or whatever. It's disturbing.
You always see them. You always see them when you're driving, whether you're on a bike or you're in your car. They start to start to wave right into your lane, and they walk into your lane. Then they move back out. You already know what they're doing. I mean, their heads down.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right, sir. I see that so much in my own car. I'm going along as the guy drifting tractor trailers as well. And I get alongside, and sure enough, he's up there checking it off. Right
on the phone.
What is wrong with you? Do you realize what you did?
I know. We had a bicyclist over the weekend. We have this area in Florida, Hutchinson Island, and he was just pedaling early morning, and this lady, a young lady, she was impaired, just hit him and ran him and took off, and they caught her, thank God, and she's going to jail probably for the rest of her life. But he lost his life, you know, and those are the things like you're talking about, you know. It's like what you guys are working on. It is so important for our industry, and it just needs to be a mandatory application that already comes on your phone. You know, it's almost like to the point where like you're talking about saving people's lives,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
something as simple as just having an app, and everything that, you know, the vehicles are putting out, and everything that all the smart systems that are coming out, all the smartphones, that app needs to be on there, like just like your settings app and everything else, you know, because
Yeah, just comes with
yeah,
it.
this isn't like finding roads or great trails to ride. This is freaking saving somebody's life, you know. And
Right.
it's, I don't know. It just I hope the insurance companies really mandate this thing, and I hope the new vehicle manufacturers continually to you know, add this thing as a must feature into everything they do technology wise.
Right. Yeah. There's just far
Yeah.
too many accidents, too many collisions. They say there's no such thing as an
Yeah.
accident, but way too many collision between two-wheelers and a motor vehicle. And the two-wheeler always loses out. And, you know, I know when I was riding my motorcycle, I mean, as a BMW rider, you know, we always ride for the slide, ride for the crack. I mean, dress for the crack.
That's right.
So it's not a matter of if you're going to go
Mhm.
down, it's a matter of when you're going to,
It's when,
you
that's
know.
right.
So, you know, knowing that, and, you know, especially, you know, with bicycles as well, you know, you're taking your life into your own hands when you go on the roads these days. And,
It's funny that you said
Yeah.
that. It's funny that you said that because over the weekend, Ben and I write these blogs, right? And we write about important things, and then we put it out there on our community page, which we're starting to do more and more on the One Game community page. And that's exactly what one of the things as a motorcyclist where it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy when I see these guys on these big heavy bikes, these big Harleys, and they got flip-flops on and shorts and like a Hawaiian shirt. And it's like, man, do you understand that if you have to put your feet down quickly or go down, that you are done? You're
You are.
done.
Wow.
You know, and
Yep.
it like, I don't know, man. It just, those are just some of the things. So I decided I kind of vented a little bit. So I wrote this blog about exactly what
It's
you
true.
said. Dress for the slide, not for the
Right.
ride.
Well,
You know, your summer wardrobe to
Exactly.
ride. And really, you got to be protected and you got to be careful. I saw this on Facebook. I'm on all these motorcyclist groups. And this one guy, he was doing a trip. He was up in Michigan, and he was from Canada, and he was doing the States. And a deer ran in front of him. Man, you should have seen his helmet, right? He got a busted collarbone, couple of broken ribs, but he had the right gear
Mhm.
on,
Right.
right? You should have seen his helmet. If that dude didn't have a helmet, he wouldn't have a
Right.
face.
Well-
I mean, it was unbelievable. Like I looked at that, and you know, I'm guilty because I wear a skid lid. I always wear a helmet, but I wear a skid
Yeah.
lid, which is not necessarily the best. But like seeing that, and I'm like, holy man, if that dude didn't have that helmet on, what his face would really look
Right.
like. It'd be scary,
Yeah.
you know, if he'd even still be
Right.
alive. And then you saw his Gore-Tex jacket was torn to hell, but he didn't have any road rash. He had the proper jeans, he had boots, right? So he saved a lot of his body from hardcore road rash. And, you know, and that's the thing that frustrates me with these guys is that, you know, until you, like you said earlier, you know, it's not if you go down, it's when you go down, right?
Right.
So it all happens to everybody once, you know, some live to talk about it, some
Sure.
don't, but it is so important that we have our head on a swivel, we put the right clothes on, we have the right
Mhm.
gear on, because, you know, the second chances as a cyclist and a motorcyclist are, you know,
Others.
I don't know,
Well,
what are they?
yeah.
Well, what are the statistics? I mean, what kind of
Oh,
statistics do you guys
We,
get?
there are, gosh, about, oh my God, I can I'll pull up some information for you. But yes, the stats are staggering, not just in the sheer numbers. It's about 8,000, 9,000 motorcycle deaths a year in the United States. There's about, and for bicyclists, I know there's hundreds of thousands of accidents, many of them not reported. But there are still, you know, many deaths on that side as well. But it's, you know, it's about FGAT, all the gear all the time for the motorcycle side of the equation. But, I actually see, I always wonder, because I was a BMW rider. We always were I actually took a ride I flew to, down to St. Louis and rode down to Arkansas on a Harley. I brought all the gear with me. So I looked like the idiot with a snowman.
The BMW guy on the Harley.
Who
cares? Who cares, dude? You were safe, man. That's all that matters.
But it's crazy.
That's funny.
I may look like an idiot, maybe sweating my ass off. Well, but I'm just like, I'm going to be safe. I'm going to make it home in one piece, and I can do what I can do to make myself safer.
Yeah, I know. Just people need to realize that looking cool is not having scars up and down your body and your head and being destroyed, for the sake of trying to look cool on a motorcycle. Just be careful if you want to enjoy this incredible, absolutely incredible hobby and passion that we share and we love to do into your 60s and 70s. Man, you got to take care of your stuff now. You got to do everything the smart way, because just a simple cruise and everybody's like, oh, well, I'm just going down the street. You know where most of the accidents happen? Going down the street.
Yeah, you're absolutely wrong. I've even seen, I know there's different types of riders. There's crotch rockets. There's the Harley riders. There's the cruisers. There's the adventure riders. But one thing I have noticed, I know Harley riders tend to wear the least amount of gear. The chaps look great. I don't know how well they protect you at a slide, but I've noticed a lot of them wearing high vis colors lately. And I think that's awesome. Anything to make yourself more visible, really. But what's cool about Ridar Systems is you can still ride that way if you want to. But you can still be announcing your location to a nearby driver. You can have a level of safety without everybody knowing it, right? You're still cool. You still got that vibe going with a Harley, and that's great, but you can still be sending your location, direction, travel, and speed to nearby vehicles that also are collecting that and avoiding you.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. That's Serge mentioned the guy that he passed here in Stewart. He was on the bridge. That was actually a family friend, and my wife knows his daughter. But it was 6:30 in the morning, and it was a drunk driver. And you would never expect a drunk driver at 6:30 in the morning while you're on a bridge. And the bridge has a divider between the sidewalk and the main road. And honestly, at 6:30 in the morning, I'd probably be on the main road, like no sweat.
And it's got a bike lane
ride.
too. It's got a bike lane.
It has a bike lane, yeah. But had he had an extra, second or 2 seconds
just
to
a
react, he could have hopped that, at least jumped on the divider. And then 3 weeks ago, we had our godkid's uncle. He passed in a motorcycle accident in South Africa, and had he had your systems, it's hard to think in hindsight and operate in that light, but thinking about that, man, that 2 people that we know personally, your systems could have saved their lives. That's crazy.
As far as reckless driving, reckless riding, we can't fix that.
No.
You're driving DUI. Right. I don't think any notification, it may help, but if you're impaired, it may not be. What we're trying to do is, if you're a good driver and you're following traffic laws, you're not driving recklessly, then the same was what's done with some of the riders. They drive crazy and the bike goes down. But we can't fix.
Yeah.
That's something that will come from within.
Yeah.
But we certainly can help those that are trying to drive safe, ride safe, and be seen. Make them more aware. Their prisoners more aware to the drivers.
Absolutely.
Having that information, you can't trust anyone on the road, but having that information coming from both parties or going to both parties, it gives you a massive advantage. So it's talking about, the motivation and potentially money savings, that kind of thing. It makes me think about Wave and how Wave was acquired by Google Maps. And it seems like the main function they were after was the speed traps.
Yeah.
So, that was a massive acquisition, but that kind of makes me curious. Is your board of directors, the direction of your business, are you guys thinking down the road that an acquisition will be possible, or are you trying to keep it close to the chest?
I think any business that starts up, their goal isn't to go 20 years and into perpetuity. But most startups, the end goal is at some point to have an acquisition. Waze is a classic example of where Ridar Systems needs to be.
Oh, Waze, that's right. I call it Waze. I'm sorry.
Waze.
Waze.
But some friends of ours that are also in the connected car space, they provide the same type of notification to drivers for emergency response vehicles that are approaching, roadside, tow trucks, and things like that, where roadside workers.
That's huge.
So they're doing something very similar that we're doing, and they've actually incorporated that into Waze. So, we're hoping to follow that lead and also get Ridar Systems into Waze so that, it's all user fed. Everybody provides input into Waze. So there's a broken down car, there's a police, or
Right.
But to have motorcycles or bicycles nearby, it'd be nice to have it so that it does it automatically.
Absolutely.
To that group sharing where it's not, you don't have to push on a screen to get, again, distraction. I picked this. That would be nice. That's one thing we're hoping.
Do you see, kind of going into your next into the next question, but one of it will be that, do you see that happening? It's automatically being detected and said. And in addition to this to that question is, what drives you personally to keep innovating for this field? Like, well, what is it that's inside you that burns to get this thing moving forward and being in every platform and being able to save lives?
The first part of the question, I definitely, there's other technologies out there. I know there's new mapping that, and I was reading recently through one of the tech articles about somehow making it so that you don't have to tap the screen for Waze. That would be wonderful. But even if you had to initially say, yes, here's a motorcycle, it just seems to me that there'd be too many to keep tapping, as a driver. So that's why we could easily integrate into the back end of Waze and just simply announce it to them. It wouldn't be crowdsourced. It would simply be, because you're using our technology, we're using a SDK into the back end of the same Waze, for example. They already have that. They already have the navigation part of it, so we could simply announce it to them without pushing anybody.
That'd be
So
awesome.
that's we're striving for that. What drives me is personal experience. I've seen many friends get in accidents. They come out. Many of them have come away with just breaks and bruises. We've lost lost their lives. My uncle. Granted, this was back in 1969. He was a Harley rider, but he was killed at a stop sign, drunk driver. So again, looking at that situation, Ridar Systems would never have helped them, but we certainly want to try to help the majority of riders, in some form to make their ride safer, because we want to see the motorcycle industry grow. We want to see the bicycle industry grow. It's healthy, it's exciting to be able to ride. And if you can ride safer, those numbers will increase,
That's awesome.
That's what drives me. Essentially, there's just far too many close calls, and we're trying to prevent those.
Well, keep up the amazing work.
And that, thinking about it being crowdsourced, that would be ignored in a heartbeat if you had to notify or had to provide feedback into the app saying that there's a motorcyclist. I'm ignoring that. I could see that. I don't think that would be adopted.
And it's similar to how we're working the grouping of riders. That's our final piece of this proof of concept we're working for our OEM. It's a matter of, do we announce one rider, or do we announce multiple riders? How far do they have to be apart to indicate that there's this one rider versus this group of drivers? So that's what we're trying to do. And again, minimizing notifications. That's good. But whether it's through Waze or whether it's through our OEM's head unit, we simply want to make sure that we're not over notifying the driver, because they'll throw it away. They'll uninstall, stop using it, and then we want to put it right out of the gate.
Right.
Eventually.
Right. I didn't think about that aspect of how far away are they for you to decide whether to continue notify, because you've seen that all the time. There'll be a group of 10 bikes, but they're 4 up front, and then 30 seconds later or a minute later, you get the
Right.
remainders.
Yep.
That's interesting to think about. So kind of a big picture question. What advice would you give to youngins looking in to get into the technology sector or the safety sector as an entrepreneur, or trying to pursue an idea
Uh,
there?
wow, that's a tough one. If you have a significant other, uh, hope that you're as blessed as I am as having someone that supports me over these 10 years. It's been a lot for me. It's taken a
Wow.
toll personally. I think Elon Musk put it best about starting a business. It's like chewing on broken glass and looking into the abyss. If this, as they have at some of the amusement park, this is a scary ride. Uh, it's not for everyone, but if you've got a great idea, you see the need, and rather than some people will create a need out of something that they doesn't
Right.
need to be used. But if you
Right.
see a true need and you see something that needs to be addressed in some way, by all means, I would go for it. Start with your family, friends, get investments, and move it forward. It's an inch by inch kind of a thing. Like I said in the very beginning, I've been pushing this boulder uphill for 10 years. We're finally getting to the top of the hill. So that's what's exciting right now. And we've got a great team with Mary and her team, everybody that's working with us right now, to make this a reality. So we're so much closer now than we were a year ago, 3 years ago, for sure. And people,
That's great,
so
man.
yep.
That's great. That's great that you believe in what you started, and then you brought great team members on board, and that's what it's all about. I mean, Ben and I are going through this. I think August will make 1 year that he and I, since we launched officially in January, but we're trying to do a very similar thing, is create, like, there is a need for people to learn of different parts of the motorcycle industry, right? Like, you have the Harley riders, you have the sport bike riders. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring in education so everybody learns about everything, right? Well, whether it's technology that relates to our industry, whether it's this form of group that does this form of group that does that. So that's our goal also, is to always educate, always bring out good information, something positive to unite people together. And that's the vision we see ourselves. So this has been awesome, because I know we're both very interested in the safety part of this, and I think a lot of our listeners are very interested in the safety part of this. So wanted to ask you before we get into the speed round, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience about your journey through Ridar Systems, or the future coming up that kind of keep an eye on, or maybe something that we didn't cover in the podcast that you want to bring up? Please, the floor is yours.
I would simply ask your insurance company, ask your motorcycle OEM at the dealership. I mean, hey, is there technology available to make myself safer? I mean, word of mouth is really what we're going to depend on. But of course, it's about finding the right person, that one cheerleader within the industry that carries the idea forward within their organization. But the biggest thing is getting the word out there. I think the more people that are asking it, and I think that's how our friends got their technology into Waze. They actually joined a blog about Waze and started asking questions about, hey, wouldn't it be great to be notified when there's emergency response vehicles? So it was a grassroots kind of effort, and people ran with it, and Waze brought it on board. So, it's about, people understanding that there are some safety options out there that are being worked on, and using your location data. It doesn't have to be an intrusive effort or experience. We take the location data, and I know this is a huge question for people. What do you do with the data? We use it we capture it every second. We simply use it to speed it up to the cloud. Once it's done there, it's going. We will capture generalized, very, very, very generalized information, because we don't want to violate PII. You know, a lot of states and the country have privacy mandates. And, you know, all we're trying to do is if any data we collect will be more for the insurer, especially on the driver's side. They're relinquishing their data to get the lower rates. But on the cycling side, motorcycle side, unless it's through an insurer, we're just capturing very anonymized information. We're not giving away any name, age. You know, we're simply looking at the location, what the speed was, what the interaction data looked like between a driver and cyclists nearby. That's all we're capturing. But for the most part,
I would probably say, not to cut you off, I'd probably say that the guys who need it the most, which is the sport bike guys, especially the young guys, would probably be the last to download it, so their insurance companies know how fast they ride their motorcycles. That might be an issue. That might be an issue for the young guys. But the young bucks are always heavy on the throttle, especially on those fast bikes.
And it's hard not to. I mean, it's, you know, riding motorcycle, especially in the twisties, it's heavy. You know, you get people, someone that's never ridden two wheels, in that have to experience that. You're flying. You're really just flying. But when you get the speed involved, it could be a problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially with the insurance company involved. That's just a major problem. So, I wanted to ask you before, where can people find you? Where are you on social media? Do you have a website that they can turn to? We're going to link everything in the show notes so they're able to click in. But let them know.
We don't have a huge social media presence yet. Our website is ridarsystems.com. One word. RIDAR. And we have a new website coming out in a couple of weeks that'll have a lot of more robust information. Ways to contact us directly if you have any questions, concerns. But we do expect, you know, as we start ramping up, getting our social media presence established as well.
And you're out on LinkedIn also,
yes,
right?
I'm on LinkedIn as well as Ridar Systems. You know, again, everything's getting revamped. Since Mary's come on board, she's really taken this ball and ran, getting a lot of great track in a lot of different areas. So keep it on here is what all I can say.
All right, great.
Keep you on the radar. Hidden tits. All right, ready for the speed round? All right, got 2 minutes on the clock. Let's do this. All right, what is the best motorcycle you've owned or ridden?
BMW R1200 GS.
Right. If your motorcycle could talk, what would yours say about you?
Man. If my motorcycle could talk, what would it say about me? You take good care of me. Mechanically and every other aspect.
It's a new one. All right, best place you've ever ridden and why?
Route 100. Twisties galore and just heaven.
Where was this?
Up in Vermont, Route 100.
Vermont.
Tons of twisties.
Yeah, Route 100, of course.
Guns all over.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I've gone ridden down to Tennessee for the March Moto Madness, and then I've gone
the Blue Ridge out there, right? The Blue Ridge Mountains out there. It's beautiful, man.
Tail of the Dragon. It's fun too.
Yep, absolutely.
Gorgeous. What's the most embarrassing song on your playlist?
Oh God. I'd have to say
Radar Love.
Oh my God. I can't think of any. I have such an eclectic mix. Okay. I'm a closet ABBA fan. Here we go.
ABBA's cool, man. I like ABBA too.
All right. If you could time travel, what era would you visit and why?
Oh man. Maybe the 30s, 40s when really auto manufacturing was really in its heyday. A lot of different auto manufacturers in the United States, not just the big three. But yeah, those probably more closer to the early 20th century. 100%.
That's cool.
Right on. That'd be awesome. Favorite motorcycle movie of all time?
Oh, Easy Rider. Of course. Although on any given Sunday, how can you go wrong watching someone
on any Sunday? Yeah, that's good.
Steve McQueen, right?
Yeah. Yep.
True.
Who was your movie crush when you were a teen?
Oh God, my movie crush, Linda Carter, Wonder Woman.
Linda Carter. Oh,
Nice.
man.
Right on. Wonder Woman.
She changed
Heck yeah.
a lot of young boys'
A lot of boys,
lives,
young
man.
boys
That's
in the
for
middle.
sure. Yeah, for sure. That's funny.
All right. Next question. If you could meet and have dinner with one person, past or present, who would it be?
George Clooney. What the fuck?
George Clooney, really?
Oh, cool. I gotta ask why.
Yeah, I was gonna say this.
I just love his movies. I love what he stands for in his private life, and he seems like a cool guy. Him or Keanu Reeves actually would be a good one too.
Yeah, Keanu's
Yeah,
a good one.
I'd love to be Keanu. Very cool. All right. One law you would change if you were president for the motorcycle.
One law.
That's easy.
I'm probably gonna get hated for this, but I would require helmets in every state. It's just,
Okay.
you know what?
Right on.
Great to have
Me too.
the one through here, but man, it's not good to have your brains spilled.
No, it's scary.
Right. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh man, one thing that was not taught in Motorcycle Safety Foundation was countersteering. Someone told me about countersteering after I've been riding on the road for about 4 years. I was like, "Why? What is this magical thing?" Going.
Game changer.
It was. Because I was a dirt bike rider, and I'm always just leaning into the corners. It opened a couple right.
Right.
Countersteering just changed everything. You got tighter corners, and here's counters.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's cool.
All right. If you could get up on stage and sing or jam with one band, who would it be?
Oh, man, Rolling Stones.
All right, good one.
Wait. All right. What's one piece of clothing you own but your wife can't stand?
Oh, man, I shouldn't go with the original thought in my head, but I mean, I would have to say, I just have to say, some of the shoes I select. She's done cool.
Okay.
All right.
She doesn't like your shoe collection very much.
Yeah. Okay. If they made a biker themed movie about you, who would play Brent?
George Clooney.
All right. Yeah, it's
Perfect.
easy. That's
Right on.
easy. That's right.
All right. And then, do you have any silly superstitions or habits that you do before or after a ride?
You know what? I just double check all my gear every single time. I feel like I'm Nomar Garcia Pirate from the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
All right.
I'm checking. Look
Yeah.
at this frag. Everything's solid.
Right on.
Everything's
Yeah.
up. Everything's where it's supposed to be. I'm ready to ride. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That's fun.
Do you know how Nomar got his? Do you know how Nomar got his name?
No.
No.
His dad's name is Ramon,
Very-
and Nomar is Ramon
my
backwards.
God.
Oh, no
Nope.
kidding. That's right.
Yeah,
I'll have to
yeah.
tell her.
It's one of
He's
those
still
fun
using
facts.
part of Nomar in her email address. So she's a huge.
That's funny.
Nice, right on. Appreciate that. All right, so besides the One Gang Worldwide podcast, what's your favorite podcast, or what else are you listening to and absorbing these
I
days?
gotta tell you, I read a lot of Reddit. I haven't gotten to podcasts a lot,
Yeah, right on.
but I just read a lot of Reddit, and especially about the motorcycle and bicycle situations and what people are experiencing. Kind of get some insight into what people are experiencing. What are their pain points? That's essentially what I'm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite community on Reddit?
No, it's just any of the motorcycles. I know.
By topic.
Yep, by
Right on.
topic. Yep.
That's
Cool.
cool.
Well, you made it through. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah. It's been great.
Nailed it.
I had a lot of fun. This has been great. Thank you so much.
Hey, Brent, man, just from the bottom of our hearts, I know I'm speaking for the many that ride and also the cyclists if they listen to the show. But keep up that amazing work. What you and your team are doing. It's awesome to see that we have people out there that do care about us and that care about our safety and to find ways to make us safer and enjoy the ride a lot more. Of course, that's what's happening is people are getting scared because people are dying and they're walking away from this, the riding part of it. And that's why the motorcycle sales have been less and everything else is kind of going down in the industry, and we need to move it up. So whatever you and your team are doing, please keep up that amazing work. We're going to follow this journey and, definitely highlight everything that you guys do in our community page. You also can create an account on the One Gang community page If you guys have any postings that you want to get out there, everything's
Awesome.
free. Just put it out and get it to our
Definitely.
audience anytime you want.
Excellent. That sounds great. Yeah, we just want to make the ride,
Yep.
the ride safer for everyone. That's really
Absolutely.
Amen. One last note for listeners, you can go to ridarsystems.com and scroll down a little bit and you can actually see the app in action, and it's pretty darn cool. So check it out if you guys are.
That was an interesting experience with that clip that we provide, because we didn't know who the cyclists were that downloaded, how many downloaded, and the fog was just an added feature for us because we couldn't see the cyclist. So we had to go find them through the Ride RM. It was kind of interesting.
Wow.
That's cool.
That is interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool video. Well, thanks, Brent.
Thanks
We
for having
appreciate
me.
you.
Thank you,
man.
Brent.
Have a
Appreciate
good
you
one.
very much.
Thanks for having me. Sure. Stay
Take care.
safe out.
Absolutely. You too.